Okay. We are live.
Excellent. Both our fans are already active in the chat.
Hey there, everybody in YouTube.
Yep.
From the mountains to the sea.
I'm constantly amazed and impressed that anyone watches these streams, considering how sporadic they are and how poor we are at announcing them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think this one.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for showing up, anybody ever.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. So I'll just start and we'll just see how it ends up.
Oh, it'd be great.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's one of the best ones, I'm sure. It's November 23rd, 2025, and welcome to episode 289 of the Retrocomputing Roundtable. The RCR is a podcast about retrocomputer news, nostalgia, collecting, and things on the web, I suppose. So what do we do? Oh, I'm Paul Hagstrom, near Boston, and I'm joined today by two retrocomputing enthusiasts. We have Earl Evans, near Portland, Oregon. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Hi, everybody.
And Quinn Dunkey in an undisclosed mountain or on an undisclosed mountain in British Columbia.
I might be in it. Yeah, I could be in some sort of lair.
That's right.
I've always wanted a lair.
Yeah, who doesn't want a lair of some sort, right? But yes, no, I am in fact on it, and it's cool and rainy here, fall, and I love it. It's my favorite time of year.
Yeah, here it's actually starting to dip into relatively cold, which is not great, but oh well. At some point that'll be over. And of course, when this hits the feed, it'll be summer again.
Yeah.
So
who can say when this is being listened to?
Right.
We've had fog, and I like the fog. I don't really like the cold and dark as much, but for some reason the fog doesn't bother me. I kind of like it. So
yeah, me too. It's like walking around in Lord of the Rings. There's just like low mist hanging everywhere.
Yeah. As long as you're not driving in it, it's fun to walk in. Yeah.
Yeah, this time of year, the mountain passes around here are brutal because the passes are a lot higher. So up there, it's just like snowpocalypse. There's like ice and blizzards and stuff. And then down here, it's like a pleasant fall day. So I try not to drive anywhere because I'm surrounded by said passes.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what we've been doing recently is we've been sort of keying the topic of the episode to the episode number by year. You've heard enough of these that you know what I'm talking about, even if that was the least clear I've ever been when describing it. But so today's topic is 1989. And actually, one potentially notable fact is that we are actually running through this second time, in a sense. RCR episode 89 back in December 2014 was also talking about 1989. So there you go. Actually, in fact, I think it was talking about 1988 and 89 because we had a guest on in episode 88, so we had to stop. But
so we're retro in itself.
Yeah. So we could review that episode, in fact. But anyway, yeah. So some things from 1989. I did go through a little list of things that that people put on lists of things, and one of them was SimCity. Does anyone here have experience with that?
Oh yes, yeah.
Okay.
I played a lot of the original.
Yeah, I would go.
It's a whole franchise, and I really kind of tapered off after the original, but had a lot of fun with the original.
I did not taper off. I would go so far as to say SimCity has formed a substantial portion of my life.
Cool.
Yeah, from the original all the way up to the 2000 was probably my favorite. 3000 also good. And there's a couple of modern remakes of it that are very good. And now there's modern kind of play-alikes. City planners have become a genre on places like Steam, where the indie developers hang out. And so there's some. I mean, they've gotten so deep and so inside baseball, some of the modern ones, that it's pretty insane. But yeah, so if you thought SimCity was over when Firaxis, is it Firaxis? No, who made these games? If Maxis.
Maxis, yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was an Axis. If you thought these games died with Maxis, they did not. They had way too many fans for that. So there's a whole genre of these types of games that are called city planners, and Steam is covered in them. And if you thought SimCity 3000 or SimCity 4 or 5 were entirely too simplistic, and you really wanted to manage the water pressure of the lines that clean the sewers by season, then yeah, the modern versions of these are up your alley. But yeah, this is a game that speaks to every retro bone in my body for sure.
Excellent. Yeah, I guess Michael's not here, but I think he often says that this is sort of his first, program that he installs on every new old computer.
Yeah.
But
it has an interesting history too. So it was originally developed as a level editor for, I believe, Raid on Bungling Bay or Raid over Moscow, one of those two, I think. So anyway, yeah, it was. So Will Wright needed a level builder for this vertical shooter that he was building, and playing with the level builder turned out to be more fun than the game was, and so they pushed the game out the door and then. Yeah, he just continued developing the level editor, read a couple of books on urban planning, and got into it. And here we are. So, yeah, it's kind of a fun story.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, Raid on Bungling Bay. Yep, that's cool. Somehow, I guess I'm not that much of a long form game player. I just my guilt level just rises too fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I certainly don't do much of it anymore. I mean, the more adult we get, the less of that kind of time we have. But yeah, it's the kind of game I love to play. But like you, I don't do it actually much anymore, just because of the time commitments.
They can take a lot of time. There's a couple games, modern games. Well, I don't even know if you call Minecraft modern anymore, but they keep updating it. I've spent way too many hours in Minecraft, and then. There's another construction game called Satisfactory that is you're building construction plants, manufacturing different things to level up and then ultimately save the earth. So no pressure. And in, Steam will tell you how many hours you've spent playing a game.
Oh, no.
Like,
no, I don't want to know that.
Please don't tell me that.
Don't tell me that. Yeah, there's another similar one called Factorio that I have explicitly avoided because I know it will ruin my life. Like, I look at the trailers for that game, and I'm just like, this pushes every button I have, and I will never get anything done if I install this. So avoiding it for my own health.
But yeah, I guess this did have a long, sort of effect on the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it really did create a genre. There aren't too many games that do that. And yeah, this was one. I mean, one could argue there were predecessors. People talk about RTSs. There's always a predecessor, right? We're always standing on the shoulders of giants. So people always talk about, Warcraft was the first first real-time strategy game. It's like, oh, well, no, it wasn't, because there was Dune 2, which was a PC big box game that predated Warcraft and had many of the same kind of mechanics, so people like to argue that was the first RTS. Anyway, so there were kind of sandboxy, urban kind of construction games prior to this, but nothing that really congealed the genre quite like this did.
Let's see, what else? What else was on the list? So I don't know if this is interesting, but the first version of Microsoft Office for the Mac came out in 1989. Yeah, I mean, I remember being, because I was in the Mac ecosystem, I found that to be, that was sort of a major thing. But, and in fact, actually, I think Mac for Office or Office for Mac came out before Windows. So, but then after that, we were always like a year behind.
Yeah, Microsoft was quite a strong supporter of the Mac in the early days. I think we forget that often. Sorry, I have to backtrack for 1 second because one of our commenters mentioned Utopia for Intellivision, which deserves a shout out because, as a predecessor to SimCity, Utopia for Intellivision is an amazing game. So much fun. 2-player only, like a lot of Intellivision games, so it wasn't that easy for most people to play, but that's one that we played a lot of in which I guess that would have been junior high school, would have been my Intellivision period. And you were building little structures on an island that all had different strengths and weaknesses. And so you had these two competing islands side by side, and you sailed your little fishing boat around and mined fish and then accumulated money to build more buildings. And anyway, it was a shockingly good game and shockingly similar to, like, it had a lot of mechanics that we would now call sandbox builders or real-time strategy type mechanics. And I didn't know that Don Daglow was the programmer on that. He went on to form Stormfront Studios, that was a pretty major behind-the-scenes developer in the PC era and console era. It's one of those companies that actually made all of the games that were published by other people, so you don't necessarily know who Stormfront is, but they wrote a lot of the stuff that other people published and just don't have their name on it necessarily.
Cool. Yeah, I know very little Intellivision. I think I had a friend in high school who had one, and played a couple of games, but that was about it.
I loved it. It was such a nice platform. It was sort of the thinking person's platform, right? Like, the games were all like a little bit more sophisticated than the Atari games. That's how we like to see it anyway.
Right.
I think they were. I didn't own one, but the computer store I worked in had one, and it was the most popular console when we weren't helping customers. When things were really slow, then it was Intellivision time. We played a lot of Sea Battle.
Yes.
Although I never encountered this game. I never even heard of it until 2 minutes ago. It looks really cool.
It was great. I don't know if it would hold up today because our standards have changed, but at the time it was really mind blowing. Just the sophistication of it, the fact that you could build buildings, all over your island in different combinations, and it would do different things, and there was all these different strategies. I think the Intellivision was held back a lot by being basically 2-player only. There wasn't really enough horsepower there to have an AI player for these types of games, so most of the games are 2-player only. But they were great if you had a friend.
Also, it seems that it existed for the Aquarius.
I did not know that. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I think they did. I think there was a fair amount of overlap of, like the few titles that were available for Aquarius were also available on Intellivision.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this. They had similar hardware. I think they had like the same graphics chip or related graphics chips or something. Yeah, I think we've talked about that.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, excellent. Thank you, Night Crayon, for your comment in the.
Yeah, thanks for letting me talk about. You're making me talk about Utopia for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
it's great.
Okay, let's see what else we had. Zip. Zip was introduced.
Oh, really?
And the comment I wrote in the show notes was followed by neither drama nor controversy.
Yeah, that's right. All of the compression algorithms were like, there was drama around them in those days, like those early that kind of PC DOS era, and but especially Zip. Yeah, the whole PKware drama that happened. But then there was a lot of tribalism around early PC compression, like whether you used Zip or whatever the other ones were. I don't even remember anymore. But people were very defensive about their choice of compression algorithm on various BBSs and such.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I remember ARC, but I think
yes, I do remember ARC. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
because this is one of the ones that got in a fight with Phil Katz.
Yeah, and every time a new one of these came out, suddenly it was the best one by far, and everyone else was garbage. And if you used anything else, you were stupid. And like there was real flame wars around these, these utilities, which is just sort of silly. I mean, meanwhile on the Mac we just had Stuff It, and we all used Stuff It, and it was fine. But on the PC there was this holy war raging around Zip and ARC, and what was there was one other big one. I'm not going to remember it, but yeah, there was a couple of 2 or 3 big ones that people chose sides around.
It seemed like that the archive format wars started even before the DOS days. I think it was in the CPM days
That could be.
that there were multiple formats. And it's kind of tricky now because if you go out and hunt up CPM software, it's likely to be zipped up in some kind of format that nobody's ever heard of. And you have to go try and find some kind of decompressor for it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a problem on some platforms. That's a bit of a problem on the Apple II as well. Some of the BBS, a lot of the BBSs use different local compression things. The Mac is nice that way. It's going to be stuff it. It's always stuff it. But yeah, that was definitely a challenge.
Yeah, I think actually stuff it. I'm trying to remember the story of that, but I think it was like the guy who wrote it in college, and just sort of like put it out for free.
Yeah.
Aladdin Systems. What was the guy's name? Raymond Lau. Yes, that's all sounds. Yeah, it was originally developed in the summer of 1987 by Raymond Lau, who was then a student at Stuyvesant High School.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it just took over, I suppose, probably just because it was free. But.
Yeah, and it solved the problem, right? It handled forked files which is that weird Mac thing with the resource fork and the data fork, and nothing else did. And so it was the one that worked, and that was it. That was game over after that. But yeah, LHA, LZH. Some commenters are putting other PC compressions in the chat, and yeah, that was. I think LZH is the one I was trying to come up with. That was the one that was in a big war with Arc and Zip for a while.
Yeah, and I sort of remember LHA too. I wasn't that much in the PC world, but when you downloaded stuff from the BBS, it would be compressed in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, and you needed one of those utilities. There was a couple of utilities, at least on the Mac, I don't know about PC, where it would kind of uncompress everything, and it would just look at the file and kind of figure out what it was. So if you had one of those, it wasn't a big deal. But otherwise, you had to know what you were getting.
I kind of remember. So I know I have, when I look back at my, our floppies from the PC days, I do definitely have a number of things that seem to be split apart. So it's an archive, but it crosses several disks.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, I think there may have also had, I think that was a separate program, the thing that assembled your zip file into something that you could unzip.
Yeah, there was a few of those around too. That really kicked into high gear with Usenet, because once you had software being posted to news groups in various ASCII-fied formats, they had to be split up into huge chunks, and there was all these utilities that would join the chunks back together or split them up so you could post them. So yeah, we had things like binhex and the various utilities that did all that. But there was an overlap moment between Usenet and floppy disks, where we had a lot of reasons that we needed to split up big programs once hard drives became the norm, and then it wasn't a big deal anymore, I guess. But there was a moment there where we needed it.
Yeah, I don't think I've fully absorbed the format wars with Zip, but I do like somehow Zip in particular kind of like is the case that I always think of.
Yeah.
But
during that time, all of my computer friends were PC people, and so that was like a topic of conversation among that group constantly, was which compression you were using and why it was worse than the other one or whatever.
Yeah. I do remember thinking I liked PKZip. I think I think of it fondly as a program outside the controversy. But okay, let's see what else. The one thing we probably can't avoid talking about is the World Wide Web.
That thing.
It's a fad.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was what was in 1989? I guess maybe it was when the first server went up.
I think it was the paper.
Okay.
He did the. I was going to show this off. So for those listening, you won't be able to hear.
Oh, what I did is I just kicked you out altogether. Okay, there you go.
So what I'm showing for the three of you who are watching the YouTube is a shirt that my wife and son picked me up at when they were at CERN. And it has the diagram that Tim Berners-Lee created in 1989. That is what all the hubbub was about, was titled Information Management Proposal. So it had a super exciting title. And then, of course, it became the super exciting web.
That's great that you got the shirt, though. That's quite cool.
Yeah, it's one of those, got the shirt, but I wasn't there.
Right.
So
yeah. Can you sort of like back away a little bit so that, because we could see the title, but we couldn't see the diagram.
Sure. I can try. Let me see here.
Okay. I think we
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the gist of it.
Yep.
It's got flowcharty things, and
Yeah.
arrows and circles and boxes.
Awesome.
Definitely tell something serious is going on.
That's right. One of my weirder childhood toys I had a template. Do you remember drawing templates, like you'd buy at the stationery store, that had like circles and squares and stuff, and you'd trace them with your pencil? I had a drawing template that had like information processing symbols in it. So it was for drawing diagrams like the one on that shirt. So there was like a circle and an ellipse, and there was like jagged lines for going around corners. And then there was like a little cloud and like a little cylinder that was like storage. And anyway, it was the dorkiest possible thing. And for some reason I loved it. And I used to draw little information processing diagrams like that shirt.
I had the famous one from IBM, the IBM flowcharting template. You guys have seen that one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was messing around trying to figure out if I could actually find a rendered version of this, but I think this might be. Oops, I'm not showing it. I think this might be it, but just I think your shirt looks better.
Yeah, the one on the shirt is a lot better. Maybe it only exists on the shirt. Maybe Tim Berners-Lee drew it on a shirt, and we've just been silk screening that original ever since.
And I got that one shirt.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got the
shirt.
shirt.
It's worth like it's $1 billion shirt.
Yeah,
right there.
Maybe they stole it. It was in a glass case at CERN, and your family was like, "Oh, look, we should get this for Earl."
What a deal!
Yeah.
Let's see. Computer conferencing, IBM Group Talk. Yeah, you're showing the right one, Paul.
Okay, excellent.
But you're right. The shirt is prettier.
It is sort of hard to look at that diagram and understand how that led to the web, but I'm sure it makes sense to someone.
Right.
Well, it was worth a knighthood to somebody.
Yeah, clearly. That's pretty funny. I always wonder, like diagrams like this, how much time was spent in meeting rooms making diagrams like that and talking about them, and that was someone's job, was to make diagrams like that and then have meetings about those diagrams.
I think it still is, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess, yeah.
People still do that. It's just
nowadays we do it in
PowerPoint now.
Yeah, we PowerPoint, Jira, and Slack is how we do it now, but it's the same nonsense, I guess.
So look how far we've come.
Yeah. I've got a picture of this. It seems like there was one picture, but I mean, I guess that's the problem with the past, is that pictures used to be difficult to take. So
yes,
you only have the one picture of the next that housed the original web server, and it says, do not power down.
I love that.
This is the internet.
Right.
It's like that bit in the IT Crowd where they convince the manager, that the black box with the little light on it is the internet. But it's like, actually, this kind of was, this box right here was the internet for a year or so there.
Yeah.
Please don't turn off. I love that. Do not power down.
Another thing that was 1989 was the Macintosh Portable. And part, it's not necessarily a big notable computer. I mean, whatever. It's on its way. Things are moving along. I have one right there actually, but at any rate, it's one of the things that's annoying about it is that it runs on the battery. It does not run on the power from the wall. The battery runs on the power from the wall. So if the battery fails, that's it. I think I do have like a couple of like alligator clips hanging out of my portal in order to externalize the battery. But anyway, the only reason I really thought that was notable is that there's this famous video of a Mac Portable. I'm sure everybody's seen this, right? It's a Mac Portable on like the space station.
Oh,
And
I have never seen this.
I don't think I've seen this.
okay. Well, at some point along the way here, yep, a disk is ejected and floats
yes,
across
okay.
the room.
Yes, that I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. As soon as you ejected the disk, yeah,
Yep.
it's like okay.
So
The
that
best,
was
the best feature of this computer is the fact that the trackball could be moved to the other side, and you slide the keyboard over inside the case.
yeah.
And
Ooh.
then the screen has a little recess for the trackball, so that regardless of which side you have it on, it will clear the trackball when you close the lid. I love that.
I never knew what that little thing was for. I mean, I knew
Yeah.
about being able to switch the sides, but it didn't occur to me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why the little dent is in the screen.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's such an Apple thing to do, that kind of detail. And of course, nowadays we have it centered so that it works for left and right. But it was a nice solution to left and right hand support at the time.
On some of these old laptop models, before batteries became little computers of their own, sometimes the battery packs were pretty simple. I don't know if it's the case for the Macintosh Portable, but the reason I bring it up is you might be able to get somebody to rebuild a battery pack for it if the battery is toast now. I know that with my Epson laptops like the HX20 and the PX8, the batteries were just a dead simple NiCad pack.
Yeah.
And the local battery store was able to rebuild me a brand new one.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. This one is pretty simple. You can buy a little like square battery. I had somebody, I got a 3D printed case that you put a little square battery in, and it worked pretty well. But the problem is, so I was all excited, get the new battery, charge it up, start the thing, put it down. 6 years later,
now that battery's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem with
I can
NiCads.
relate.
Yeah. NiCads are very fussy. Like you have to charge them just right, and you can't store them discharged, and you can't overcharge them or undercharge them. Like, you have to run them all the way down before you charge them again. Like if you do any of these things wrong, the batteries are ruined.
Yeah.
They were terrible things, honestly. But as it sounds like what you've done is it's pretty trivial to bypass them, because just figure out whatever the voltage of the battery out is supposed to be and just put some clips on that and plug a wall wart in to where the battery connects, and the computer won't know the difference.
Yeah. I think it is, there is some circuitry in that's trying to like detect how charged the battery is and charge it. And you have to sort of avoid that somehow. But
yeah, you'd want to tap in after that. Probably like right on the motherboard, there's probably a connector, because all the charging circuitry is going to be before that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. What else? I had put a couple of other things like the Game Boy was 1989, but I have no personal experience with that. So
I remember when the kids on the bus all got those, and I vividly remember thinking, "Wow, the screen on that is terrible. Why does anybody like this thing?"
Yeah.
But boy, did people like them. I still, to this day, do not understand how that thing was successful. The screen on them is basically illegible. Like you can't see a freaking thing on them.
But, and it's, I don't know. I'm not sure if it I never know if game stuff qualifies in our domain, but
it's adjacent. It's a whole,
pretty close.
Starting about now, it becomes such a parallel history that's so large that we kind of have to decide not to talk about it, because once we can talk about the Atari and the Intellivision a little bit, but then once we get into Nintendo, it's a whole other universe that spawns that we could have 3 more podcasts about.
Right. Here's our episode 89 of our podcast from December 7th, 2014, where we cover milestones of 88, 89. Was there anything I wanted to talk about in there? I guess actually the show notes don't tell us what we talked about, but I happen to know, I have insider information that we talked about the Mac SE30 and Mac 2CX as well. Okay. I think we've covered pretty much all the stuff that I had listed. I did list Microsoft SQL Server. I don't know why. Was that important? It wasn't the beginning of SQL.
To someone, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a powerhouse now, and they have a cloud platform as a service version of it, and it's a big player. But I don't know if it broke any ground. Like Quinn was saying, I don't think it was the first SQL server. Didn't IBM make SQL? I'm just guessing here. I thought they had something to do with it.
I don't remember.
Probably.
Which means we
IBM
probably covered it in some previous episode here.
Yeah. It's probably one of those things that's older than we think it is. Like someone invented it in the 70s or the 60s or something, and now we're just starting to use it or whatever. But I feel like MySQL was kind of was the moment when it became extremely broad, like, and really took off, because that was approachable and free and usable for everybody. The MySQL subset of SQL.
Can you scroll down? On there?
Yeah. Right. It does say introduced in the 1970s. SQL offered two main advantages from whatever. I'm trying to remember. I think I was using it. I had a little bit of a history with, I was first did some programming in DBase, DBase 2, and that sort of migrated into using Foxbase, which I was able to do on the Mac. And so that's really when I wound up having any interaction with like the Microsoft SQL or any SQL really. So maybe that was why it caught my attention on the list.
It's one of, I think all things probably start this way. It's a very beautiful thing that the hardware wasn't ready for. Like a bunch of software engineers sat down, or computer scientists specifically sat down and said, hey, this is how this should all work in databases. And they were like, yeah, this is beautiful. And the hardware engineers looked at that and said, go home, you're drunk. And then 30 years later, the hardware caught up to being able to do this, and now we all use it. But it is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe we can leave 1989. Maybe I can speak. Maybe we can leave 1989 there and move on to...
We barely knew you.
Yep. Then we can move on to the items of interest and news. Let's see. I guess Earl's first.
Well, somebody re-implemented MBasic, Microsoft's original 5.21 BASIC that came out on CPM. And they did it in Python, and they made it cooler with an editor, and they also made back-end compilers for either Z80, 8080 or JavaScript, which I thought was fascinating. And they put it on GitHub, and this just looked cool. So I went ahead and I cloned it from GitHub and went through the install and ran it. I only had a few minutes to play with it. This was just before we jumped in today, but I love the various iterations of Microsoft Basic. Some were more powerful than others. And the 5.21 was actually a pretty cool implementation of Basic. So I think it's fascinating that somebody did this, and I'm looking forward to playing with it some more.
I'm not actually sure how this relates to the basics that were on our computers, like AppleSoft and in the Commodore computers and things. Is this a development from that, or is that sort of separate?
Well, so I'm going off memory here, and I know that our real-time fact checkers will help me out. But the original BASIC, of course, was the Altair BASIC, the famous one that bootstrapped the career and the fortunes of Microsoft. And then from there was BASIC and other languages actually from Microsoft for the CPM operating system. And Microsoft Basic 5.21 may have either been toward the end or the actual end of the road, if I remember right, for the CPM versions. And then, of course, made the jump to DOS. And from there, ultimately made the jump to GUI and Windows and things like that. But this is derivative of that original 4K basic that they made for the Altair, and is somewhere in between that and when things really took off with the DOS era.
Okay. Yeah, I see. So it is probably all tokenized the same way and that sort of thing. Because I do remember MBasic, on the Epson QX10. This was one of
Yes.
the things you could run on it, and I'm sure I wrote some things in it. But cool.
I mean, it didn't have graphics. It didn't really have color in and of itself. If the terminal that you were using to run it had color, then you could send the right command codes to get some color out of your ANSI terminal or whatever. But it didn't have any of that. But it did have very strong file I/O type of statements that if you were trying to get some actual work done with storing and retrieving some data and that it had that. It had, as I recall, this version had a nice renumber capability. So when you painted yourself into a corner with your basic program and you had your lines too crammed in on the line numbers, this would help you out on that as well. And the way that this relates to the ecosystem, I think you were talking about, Paul, with like the Apple and the TRS-80 and other, it was from Microsoft, but I think the 6502 world was kind of a separate code base. And the implementations on that were really varied. Like if you were to compare AppleSoft with, say, the Commodore Basic, which is also from Microsoft, but honestly kind of stinks, then you'd see, they didn't look much like each other.
Yeah, I think Quinn knows the history better than me. I think, or at least it keeps coming up that I think the Commodore one was like a one-time license.
Yeah, what's his name?
Gates?
Trammell.
Trammell, yeah, he refused to pay a licensing fee, so he paid a one-time fee and purchased a snapshot of the code and proceeded to install it on 10 years worth of computers, whereas everybody else licensed it, and so they got improvements over the years and so on. So yeah, the Commodore Basic was forever stuck in a terrible, almost prototype state.
I think the famous quote was Microsoft Gates had proposed a royalty, and Trammell said, "No thanks, I'm already married."
Yeah, I think there was a thing that I played around with. My guess is I say these things, every 4 episodes or whatever. But I remember coming across something in one of the Microsoft Basics. It was, I think I may have seen it first on the Apple II, but the way the lines are organized in memory, there's a program start and then a line number and then some tokens, and I think right around the line number, it also it's like a pointer to where the next line is. And so you can mess around with these things in such a way that when you list a program, it'll skip over lines, so it won't show you them, but it'll still run them.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah. There was a Beagle Brothers utility that would do that. That would let you like hide lines of code, by messing with those pointers. Yeah.
That's interesting.
What was particularly funny is that I made a little proof of concept that would show this. It would, I had like 3 print lines or whatever, and I would hide one. But I ran it on an Apple, Commodore 64, a VIC-20, a PC. It would do the same thing on all of them because they were all using the same like data structure that Microsoft had for its basic. So
yeah, I always wondered, the tokens are probably the same, right? Because they wouldn't have any reason to change them. So like I am assuming if you took the executable of an AppleSoft program over to a Commodore and just loaded it and listed it, it would probably list correctly, right? Because it's going to be the same set of tokens, most likely. Like a few would be missing, like the Commodore wouldn't have hplot or whatever, but like the main ones would all be the same, I would guess.
Probably. Go forth and find out, world.
Yeah, someone
Yeah, I
tried
was going
that.
to say that would be kind of interesting to try.
Yeah, someone must have tried this at some point. I don't know.
No, a project for the future.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, that would have been hard to find out because getting a file from an Apple II to a Commodore was just about impossible. Like, yeah, you'd have to set up some kind of serial network and then like serial null modem or something and create custom software to like transfer that over. Like, oh my gosh, that would be a lot of work to get that file over. Yeah. Kids today, you don't understand. Couldn't just put it on a floppy even or a USB drive or send it over the internet. I mean, I guess the easiest might be to actually just upload it to a BBS from the Apple and download it on the Commodore. That would actually be the easiest.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking, is that like if you accidentally downloaded the wrong platform program, that's when you would know.
Yeah, exactly. Or honestly, if you just wanted to see if it works, just do a short program, just type it in. Just like in a hex editor, like that would honestly probably be faster than any other method.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. So I guess my thing. So this made a sort of recent splash, which is that Microsoft has open sourced the Zork 1, Zork 2, and Zork 3 code, source code.
So they purchased these from Infocom?
Well, yeah. So that was what I was thinking, is like, that's the thing that everybody's most surprised about. Is that,
wait, why is Microsoft releasing these? What is, so, well, things have happened. Microsoft owns Activision, who bought Infocom. So that's the TLDR on that. Yeah.
And I think so the source code has been, readable and available for a long time. But this now makes it sort of, this removes your guilt from it, So they have it out on GitHub. So if you want to, you can read through the code. I think it's all in this, like Z machine type language.
Well, I was going to ask, is what they're open sourcing the ZIL, or is what they're open sourcing the Z machine interpreters?
I don't actually know if they're, if this includes the interpreter. It may be just the Zork code. And I think they're somewhere in there, it did say something like it's, it may not actually compile, but like it seems like it's a little bit unclear what version we're looking at here. It was just sort of whatever was on the hard drive when they shut it off.
Yeah. The technical side of this is like the least exciting news. I mean, obviously all this stuff was reverse engineered and open sourced unofficially decades ago. So Microsoft being like, OMG, we're releasing Zork. And the entire interactive fiction community is like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess.
But I guess you can, they said somewhere in the article, they did say that, they'll once they have done this commit to the repository, you can submit pull requests.
Great. Yeah, and once again, there's already like a dozen fan versions of all of these games that have all the bugs fixed and so on anyway. So yeah. The headline on this, though, is it gives very strong Onion vibes. There's that Onion headline, only 6 corporations remain.
Yeah.
This gives strong energy in that direction. Microsoft releasing Zork is, that's, if you'd said that sentence to someone in 1989, I think they would have needed a lot of explanation about how we got here.
Though, actually, it does remind me that there was Microsoft Adventure. So Microsoft, was sort of in this space before.
Yeah. Not that they were releasing an adventure game, but that they were granting upon the world the source code to Zork.
Yeah.
The question would be like, wait, what? back up 58 steps, and how did we get to that? Why is it theirs to release? I think would be the first question.
Yeah. That is seriously almost everything that I've seen about this is, about that question.
That's the only thing anyone wants to talk about. Because I mean, the open sourcing Zork, like I said, is the most anticlimactic news ever. Only Microsoft PR thinks that's exciting because we've all been reverse engineering or playing versions of this game for decades. So we already had the source Microsoft because shocker, the Z machine format was not exactly an airtight security and edifice. It wasn't exactly hard to break it and reverse it.
Yeah, but that is, I mean, it is a pretty cool technology, though. I mean, like in case anyone hasn't heard about it, I mean, like the idea was essentially that it was kind of a so the Z machine interpreter would interpret machine independent code, and since this was mostly like print and input, it would run on any machine that you had an interpreter for. So it's sort of like very quickly got all their games to be cross-platform. So
yeah, I mean it's a great lesson in like computer science principles work. The endurance of these games over the decades, like every single computer and operating system that has ever come out, you can play Zork on to this day because of that Z machine format, because it was abstracted. And it's what every computer science professor has been screaming since the 60s, that this is why we should do everything this way. But of course, again, the engineers, the hardware engineers tell them to go home and they're drunk, because there's very few moments in history where this is actually practically possible, especially in gaming, because like you said, because these were simple text games, it was barely possible on the hardware of the day. But if you wanted to do any kind of graphics or sound, of course, this would be ridiculous. You could never do a cross-platform like this. But in the one place where it was practical to do it, they did it, and we're all the better for it.
I think Scott Adams did something similar with his adventure games too. But and I don't know how those two relate in time. But I mean, like the thing is, the Scott Adams interpreter is just so much less sophisticated.
Yeah, I think he was just basically reusing his code over and over, which is kind of the same thing, I guess.
Okay.
I don't think he had a pure abstraction layer that was platform independent and all that. I think he was just reusing his code base.
Oh, okay.
Which wasn't very like if you basic software engineering principles, you can separate the rendering of your graphics from your your loader and your text parser and whatever. And I'm sure he was doing that. And then you only had to rewrite certain little bits of it for different platforms. And then once you've done that for all the platforms, then you can just keep cranking out games with that engine.
Yep.
That was also a dream of early programmers, was to have an engine that would just work forever. And you could crank out infinite games on this engine. But of course, that also didn't work for very long. Very quickly, everything got outdated. But
So isn't that, what is it called? Unity or something? Isn't there that what people are doing now?
Yeah, so that idea has come back around because the hardware has finally stabilized. There hasn't been any substantial advances in hardware, in computer hardware, for the last 15 years, really. We're just, every year is just a slightly faster Intel or ARM. And that now that we've got things like Unity where people are once again doing that. You're writing in C# in Unity, which is technically, and it's... How compiled is C#? I can't remember. I worked in it for 10 years. I should know, but it's sort of pseudo compiled. And
it compiles down to an intermediate language.
That sounds right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. So it's kind of like Pascal in that sense. That's right. Because there are, people will do hacks in the intermediate language as well. But anyway, so we're kind of back there for that reason. But anyone who's written anything in Unity knows the dream is still not really a dream. Like, you still have to do a lot of platform-specific work. You can't just take your Unity project and recompile it from, PC to iPhone, for example, even though they claim you can do that. You will spend a lot of time changing things for each platform.
Wasn't there an interpreter format also for the Lucas games?
Yeah, I think so. It has some, it's like Scum VM or something.
Right. The one that I loved playing was Day of the Tentacle. That was just so hilarious. And I thought that there was a VM interpreter for those games that you could get from modern platforms.
Yeah. I think that's actually the thing I was naming was the modern interpreter, the Scum VM.
Yeah. Scum VM has kind of expanded. Yeah, it was originally for the LucasArts games, but it kind of runs a lot of things now. Interestingly, I think it might run Z Machine games now too. It's kind of become a universal emulator for a lot of virtual machine kind of based game engines of the past. But yeah, it was originally just built to emulate those games, because it will also play the Sierra games, I believe. Like you can play Space Quest in it, even though that's a completely different engine. But Sierra also had kind of an abstraction layer in their Quest games that they used. So yeah, it'll run a bunch of these games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and actually, those are the ones I was thinking about. Was the Sierra games?
Yeah,
I just heard LucasArts and thought Sierra.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Scum, someone help me out, stands for something Maniac Mansion. Like it was the engine written for Maniac Mansion that they then generalized into all of their subsequent games.
Yep, script creation utility for Maniac Mansion.
That's it. There it is. Yeah, script creation utility.
Yeah. Very well. Yeah, it's just only trivia, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
Because okay, so we can maybe move on from Microsoft releasing Zork to Quinn's thing.
Yeah, so I wanted to give a little shout out to Usagi Electric. I think many of us are familiar with his channel. He's probably best known for Big Iron. He does restorations of mini computers and mainframes, really cool stuff from the 60s, 50s, and so on. But recently he started a new project that I love, and he's making really nice videos about this project. It's a homebrew computer. You guys know I love a homebrew, and this one is built around the processor from the TI-99/4A. And that is a processor that is very rarely used in homebrews. I looked around and there are a couple out there, but not very many. So it's an underappreciated one for sure. I mean, you can't throw a rock without hitting a homebrew that's built on a 6502 or a Z80 or a 68000 or a 6809. But the TMS 9900 CPU, not so much. And it's a particularly good overlap with his skills and interests, because for those who aren't aware, as I was not aware until I watched his videos, the TMS 9900 is actually built for mini computers. It was a mini computer CPU. Now that sentence will anger some folks, because if like me, you previously felt that the definition of mini computer was that it does not have a microprocessor in it. It has a discrete CPU built of TTL logic. That was, to me, that was the line in the sand between mini computer and microcomputer. Micro standing for microprocessor, the integration of the CPU. However, he makes the case, and he's slightly convinced me that the definition is actually quite a bit broader than that. So he defines it as computer designed for multi-user use and with big storage. And honestly, I think that's as good a definition as any. Like anything, definitions are all terrible and mostly wrong, but sometimes useful. And it's sort of you know it when you see it kind of thing. Like you see a big blue and wood veneer box, you know it's a mini computer, but it might actually have a CPU in it. So, or it might have a microprocessor in it. But anyway, so the TMS 9900 was apparently designed for a line of TI mini computers, and it didn't get any use or much use for that. But then suddenly, I think most of us know this story, suddenly TI wanted to get into the home computer market, which was exploding. And they had this chip on the shelf, and they were like, well, let's just use this. And the engineers looked at the managers and said, go home, you're drunk. And the managers said, you're all fired. And they said, okay, we can make it work. And so they crammed this mini computer CPU into a home computer. It's an 8-bit computer with a 16-bit CPU in it. And the CPU is not on the bus with the RAM, which is amazing that even worked. But that's sort of the Achilles heel of that machine. For anyone who doesn't know, all of the RAM is sitting behind the graphics chip. And the graphics chip, of course, is the now famous 9918A, I think it's called. I should know.
Sounds plausible.
Yeah, I should know that too. I've actually built a homebrew computer with that chip. My memory is not what it used to be, but so I used the F18A, which is a modern remake of the graphics chip. It's the same graphics chip that's in the MSX standard, and a lot of arcade machines used it. It's a very nice chip, but it has this Achilles heel in that it has to have its own RAM for video buffers and sprite buffers and tile grids and so on. So what TI did in this machine is they put all of the RAM behind the graphics chip, and the CPU has to basically talk to the RAM through the graphics chip by very politely requesting 2 bytes at a time and sending 2 bytes at a time back through a message passing dual port system that the graphics chip has. And I know that pain because I had to solve that same issue, and I had similar performance problems. I ended up having 2 RAM banks on my machine that used that same chip, one just for the graphics and one for the CPU. And then the CPU has to shove bytes back and forth through that tiny straw. But of course, in the 80s, RAM was inordinately expensive, so you couldn't afford to have 2 banks of it like that. So they put all of the RAM behind the graphics chip, making the TI-99 4A notoriously slow. Mm-hmm. However, this homebrew project is great because he's sort of making the point with this project that if you pull the CPU out of that terrible architecture and make a new architecture that's designed around that chip, it's actually a real rocket ship that was massively underappreciated. And I didn't know a lot of these design details about the chip, but it really was designed for multi-user operation. So for example, it has no internal registers. All of the registers are actually in RAM, and they are pointed to by the CPU, which means you can do context switching by just moving a pointer from one place to another in RAM. So you can have multiple users who all have their own CPU state, and it's trivial to switch between machine states. So, and it has other features designed for multi-user. It has obviously a 16-bit bus. You can have lots of RAM. It's got lots and lots of interrupts, which is important in a multi-user environment. So it's got all these great features, and so he decided to build a homebrew around this chip, and it's going to be a multi-user homebrew, which those are extremely rare. I've only seen maybe one other homebrew computer that's multi-user, so it's going to be really cool. And he's got an operating system picked out for it as well, which I forget which one he chose. He chose an interesting operating system. I think it was the one that's used on the Centurion 620 that's behind him, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it that, or was it the Bendix?
Oh, maybe that was it. Yeah. He
Mm-hmm.
chose a mini computer operating system to port to this thing. Unlike, most homebrews either run something custom or they run CPM, or people, port some version of, micro Unix to it or something. But he's going to use an old mini computer OS, which is also a fun idea. So he's gotten pretty far with it. He's got it talking to serial terminals, and he's got it running code off of ROM and RAM. And he's making great progress. So it's a fun project. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And his videos are great. His production values are excellent. So cool. That is my news item. And don't read the comments because they're terrible.
Just in general, always.
It's always good advice. But there's certain topics that really draw out the armchair neckbeard experts, and homebrew computing is one of them. He's doing fine. Like, he's not an electrical engineer, but he's doing fine. What he's building is going to work. It's great. But 70% of the comments are just people telling him he's doing it all wrong, and the world is definitely going to end if he doesn't stop right now. And, it's just, I feel for him because, he's doing fine.
The interesting thing about Usagi Electric's, I guess, viewing base and the folks that are on the Discord and that is that there's a lot of very highly technically sophisticated people.
Okay.
And along with that comes a lot of opinions and a lot of opinionated discourse. And so I think that's probably what you were seeing.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that makes sense. I saw a lot of comments that sounded like, so there's a certain kind of knowledge having person who has learned things formally in a modern context and feels that knowledge must be extremely important in all contexts. So he's getting a lot of comments like, oh, his traces are the wrong shape and he's going to get ringing and signal bounce and so on. But those people have all, they're probably actual electrical engineers, but they went to electrical engineering school in 2015 or something. And none of that stuff actually mattered in 1985 when everything was 1 megahertz. So, but in school, they don't tell you that, right? In school, they say, you need, this stuff's all super important, which it is if you're designing multiple gigahertz, machines where, cosmic rays cause you to lose data and your traces all have to be differentially aligned and all this thing. Yeah, all that stuff super matters at 5 gigahertz. It doesn't matter at all at 1 megahertz. So,
and with the clock speeds he's going to be working at, I don't know if those things will be a factor, but my thought on it is this: he's building this for fun, and he's building it for educational purposes. And if he encounters data corruption or weird operation or something like that because of one of those things, then he'll track it down and fix it.
Yeah.
Which is, fun. Kind of part of the fun is that,
exactly.
Oops, I learned how to not have these traces too close together, because then I get crosstalk between the circuits and stuff like that. That's actually just part of the whole experience, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and as someone who's been down this road, I can tell you he is going to be fine. So his CPU is going to be running at 3 megahertz, which is what the TMS is designed for. Really up until 10 megahertz, you don't have to worry much about anything like parasitic capacitance or inductance or ringing or bus signal terminations. You really don't have to worry about that stuff below 10 megahertz. Up to 10 megahertz, you can run this stuff on a breadboard and it works just fine. Like, sub 5.
Don't people do that? Doesn't, like, for instance, the Ben Eater YouTube channel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that's run on a breadboard that I think, works just fine. Of course, nobody has the incredible breadboard patience that channel does, because all of his breadboard wiring is the perfect length and the perfect bend and everything like that.
Yeah.
But
sub 5 megahertz, you can pretty much get away with anything. Like, it's extremely forgiving. So I encountered some of those more sophisticated issues around 10 megahertz on the video board that I was building for my homebrew. I started to get like the pixel clock would drop pixels, for example, and it was like parasitic capacitance coming from the breadboard, and it would miss sync pulses on the horizontal blank and things like that occasionally, because the noise was starting to overwhelm the signal at 10 megahertz, which is what my video board was running at. But until then, I didn't have any trouble at all. Like, it really isn't an issue. So he'll be fine anyway. But it's a neat project. Don't read the comments, and I'm really glad to see the TMS 9900 getting some love. And I'm really excited to see it running multi-user code. That's going to be neat, because as far as I know, no one's ever done that in a homebrew with this chip specifically. So
cool. Yeah, and the one thing that association I have with Usagi Electric and Bendix actually is that this. So I don't know what the guy's name is, but at any rate, he was repairing, I think, a couple of Bendices.
The G15
Bendices.
that you might have seen at System Source.
Yes, exactly. So there's one other thing that's on his channel is a tour of System Source from not too long ago. So because they gave him a Bendix G15 to fix, and then he documented that process of sort of getting it up and running and getting like half of a diagnostic going and stuff.
Yeah, he's also probably best known for the UE1, which is his vacuum tube computer that he built. It's on the wall behind him in all his videos.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing is awesome. Like, and again, don't read the comments in any of the videos, but he was learning how to build a CPU from discrete components, and he was learning how to use vacuum tubes, which is a whole other beast compared to like TTL logic. Vacuum tubes are, they're analog, so they're strange voodoo, those things. But he was learning how to do it, and the internet is extremely unforgiving of learning on camera. So I tip my hat to his patience at doing that. The UE, it's beautiful what he built, the UE1. It's really neat, and it runs code, and it's all vacuum tubes. It's really cool.
That's excellent.
Yeah. Also, I want to know where he got the vacuum tubes. I'm sure he mentions it in some of the videos. I haven't watched all of them, but I've talked about this before, but vacuum tubes are very hard to get these days. I recently got a vacuum tube preamp for my record player because I'm an insufferable hipster and thinks that it's going to make things sound better when, of course, it doesn't. But all of the vacuum tubes on this amp have Cyrillic writing on them because they're all from Russia. Because as far as I know, the only place still making vacuum tubes is Russia, because they have a lot of old Soviet military hardware that they are maintaining. And Soviet military hardware all used vacuum tubes, because vacuum tubes are immune to EMPs. So the Americans covered everything in lead to protect them from nuclear weapons, and the Russians just used vacuum tubes and everything. So there's a whole lot of old Soviet aircraft and tanks and radar systems running around full of vacuum tubes, and someone's got to make replacement parts for those. So that's where everybody's buying vacuum tubes now, I think.
Excellent. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it is funny. Yeah.
Okay. I think there's one thing that I feel like maybe we should mention. Nobody put it in the news, but just recently as we record, we lost Burger Becky.
Yeah.
So Becky Heineman, Rebecca Heineman, I mean, like a week ago.
Yeah. As we record, it's yeah.
Which was it was surprising because it was very quick. I mean, like, you know, from the acknowledgement of there being a problem to it being, you know, solved in the worst way.
Yeah.
That was basically it. But yeah, and it's, you know, I feel selfish maybe saying this, but I'm sort of sad that we don't, like, there are stories that we are not going to get now. You know, there are you know, sort of technical details of game development that will remain undisclosed. And she would always hint at like a life in piracy that she never quite did at least tell anyone I knew, but
yeah, and she was always there to help with your. I mean, she had forgotten more about most platforms than most of us will ever know, particularly like the Apple IIgs and some of those more obscure ones. And so she was always quick to help with programming problems. In particular, she solved one that I had on my. I was working on a mouse driver for the 8-bit Apple IIs, and one of the problems that you have if you try to do that is on the Apple IIc. There's a bit that says if the state of the mouse button is up or down, and the up bit or that bit does not get correctly cleared if the mouse is moving. It's actually a bug in the hardware, so which means you cannot implement dragging because you can't detect when the mouse button goes back up. And I had no idea how to solve this, and Bill Budge had solved it in Mouse Paint, and I wasn't sure how he had done that. But Becky knew, and I talked to her at Kansas Fest one year, and I told her about this problem. She's like, "Oh yeah, just do what Bill did," and I was like, "Go on." And she said, "What you got to do is the Apple IIc has this bug, but the Apple IIc also has a vertical blank interrupt. So you just set up a vertical blank handler whose entire job is to watch the state of the mouse button and send you your own flag when the mouse up event happens." And so I did that, and it fixed the problem, and that's what Mouse Paint did. And so, I mean, how would I have ever figured that out, right? Short of disassembling Mouse Paint, which would have been, a month-long project of its own. And that was just the kind of stuff that she knew, that she's just now, how much more of that was in her head that sadly we're never going to get now. But
that sounds very in character, though. I mean, this, like, saying something like, "Well, just do what Bill did," you know, where, you know, that's just fishing for, well, what is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also I'm friends with Bill. Yeah. I mean, she's been around the industry for so long. She just kind of knew everybody, and she knew everything about every game that was written. And and also not so long ago, we also lost her wife, Jaquel Janace, who was an artist also in the industry, and they worked together on a lot of projects. So we lost two greats in pretty quick succession there.
So she goes for, you know, for a long time. I don't know where that originated. Somebody may, but by Burger, you know, so Burger Becky. But she was keynote. She did the keynote talk at Kansas Fest. You know, I don't know what year, but, you know, some year that started in 201, so that was neat. We got to hear about sort of what I was reminded of this earlier when we were talking about trying to convert, you know, basic stuff from, you know, Commodore to Apple or whatever. But she had rigged up some kind of system that could, like, feed an Atari 2600 cartridge data. You know, so she would copy cartridges using, I think, an Apple II.
Yeah, she kind of invented cross development. I mean, other people had invented it, but she was very much on her own at the time, like most of us were in the 80s. And so she had, in parallel, kind of co-invented cross development. And it was definitely the right thing to do.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Yeah, I did not want to let that go unacknowledged, but it's too bad. And with that cheery send off, and now a word from our sponsor. What sponsor wouldn't want to be in that spot?
Yeah, exactly. That's laundry detergent or whatever the sponsor would be now.
Right.
Segues for RIPs are always hard.
Yeah. Yes, and we have to do it more and more. We're at that age where we're losing all the greats now, one after another.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I will take this opportunity to switch my screen sharing.
There's not actually a sponsor spot playing right now.
Yeah.
It's not like a hockey game where there's a red light on while the ad's playing that we all wait for.
Right. Yeah, it's there was a thing that I came across. I just finished editing, an episode some time ago. We recorded it in June. It's going to go out tonight. But there was a segment from like one of the morning shows, Good Morning America, one of these things, whatever is on NBC. And they came back. It was, I'm not going to remember everyone's name, Katie Couric and maybe Bryant Gumbel, I don't know, and some other people, or some other person. And they threw back to them. So this is what I was thinking of it. It's like, he was talking about, Bryant Gumbel was talking, or whoever it was. I should figure out who this is, so I'm not just making an ass of myself. But anyway, whatever. I'll cut this out. This is just for the YouTube stream. But at any rate, he came back and he's like, that trailer I just said, what do you call the little A with the circle around it? And someone said, well, I think it's it's like at, right? And he's like, well, that's what I thought too. But when I said violence at NBC GE.com, it just sounded weird. And then they were just discussing like, well, maybe does it mean at? Does it mean around or about? Or it was actually a pretty funny little segment. But, so which got dropped into the sponsors segment on whatever that was 3 episodes ago.
Yes.
But now I suppose we should come back.
Red light went out. We're back.
Okay. And we're back. Okay, so the host's retrocomputing gift idea this time was something that Jack located. It's something on Walmart.com. I can't quite tell if this is like a third party. I think Walmart might be doing an Amazon type thing where they also sell for third party stores. But this is a Max Build More premium retro building bricks novelty unboxing toy. And let's see if I can make this big. I cannot. But what it is basically it appears to be a little ball that contains one of several sort of retro Lego inspired building projects. So they include a little arcade machine, Alien Invasion,
which is done in the perfect Space Invaders font with the logos and everything. It's the exact Space Invaders logo, but just says Alien Invasion instead, which is pretty hilarious.
Yeah. So if we're gonna, we've got a Build More premium set of Alien Invasion. If you're gonna do knockoff titles, you might as well just go all the way.
Yeah. This is all designed by AI. I think this whole thing.
Yeah. They have a rotary phone, TV with color bars, a little 9-inch Mac Classic, and a Polaroid. So, and I think so. From what I understood from what Jack said and from reading this, it sort of seems like what you do is you buy the ball. In the ball is one of 6 things. You do not know what one of those 6 things you're going to get. And so if you want to collect all 6, good luck.
Yeah, you're going to have to buy 500 of these because they've arbitrarily designated 1 or 2 of them as rare and to force you to buy 1 million of them.
Yep.
They are actually pretty neat though. So I guess for anyone who doesn't know the whole story, they are fake Lego bricks, but Lego's patents ran out a few years ago. And so there is now an explosion of copycat products. If you watch Lego YouTube, then you know the controversy surrounding this, because there are, of course, still Lego purists, and now there are sort of Lego people that are open to these alternative, what they're officially known as alt bricks, because now that the patents are expired, people are literally copying Lego's tool and die exactly. and the plastic composition exactly, because it's all in the patents. And so a lot of these alt bricks are actually very good. And I hate to say that because I'm mostly a Lego purist, and I hate to promote these things, because Lego is an awesome company that deserves your money. But yeah, the quality of a lot of this stuff is virtually indistinguishable from. Now, some of it isn't. Like the Temu bricks, for example, are pretty awful. But some of they vary a lot. They're all various mysterious Chinese brands that have come out of the woodwork suddenly with all of these copies. But some of them are better than others, but some of them are disturbingly very good. So I guess make your own personal choice on how you feel about buying some of these alt bricks. But yeah, they are a lot better than they used to be. That's for sure. Now that they can all just do exactly what Lego is doing, but for a fraction of the price, sadly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and these things look pretty cool too. So
yeah,
if there were anything that were close to pushing me over that purist boundary, it might be this.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Lego enthusiast or a Lego person, you will recognize the skilled building techniques in use here. There are what we call SNOT, which is an unfortunate acronym that means does not on top. It's a type of highly technical building that is done in highly detailed Lego models. And that's what they've done here. It's all quite, it's just people who knew what they were doing designed these little models. So yeah, they are actually very good.
Cool. All right. Okay. So then I guess once you're finished building your little, buying your 500 little balls to get the one Mac Classic that's in there, we will turn our attention to eBay, and Earl has the first thing to look at, which I will put on the screen here.
Perfect. So this is an Atari 600XL home computer that the seller says is near mint, was never used, and was stuck in storage for 40 years. And of course, this kind of, probably new, maybe, sure looks new, kind of thing is typically exciting to retro computer enthusiasts, because it's like, you get sort of the brand new out of the box experience. And all of the things are here. The books are here. The accessories are in their, presumably their original plastic wrap. I mean, it kind of looks like it. Yeah. And the box looks reasonable. These, the boxes back then, and I used to sell these, so I can tell you, the boxes weren't great. They were pretty easy to damage. So the fact that this box has a cosmetic fold or ding over on the left-hand side, it wouldn't have been uncommon to actually take it home from the store like that.
Right.
But it is kind of a bummer that it's not perfect. I think that this is starting at a very reasonable price. It's $89, so they're not trying to charge a mint for it. Unlike some of the others that you'll see of, new in box or mint in box or something like $1,000 L00K.
Steve Jobs rare.
Exactly. So props to the person who's listing this. I think that they did a truthful listing, at least as far as we know, and with a reasonable starting bid.
Yeah, the reasonableness of the bid start makes me believe the rest of the claims in the ad. Because, if they were trying to hype this up, then they would be asking a lot of money. So the fact that they're not makes me believe them. Because it does also the photos are convincing. I mean, this original styrofoam, original bags are all there. But one of the bags is very torn. So it could be one of those situations where a lot of people were just really careful with the packing materials. And so they had all of them and they could just put everything back in the packing materials. That's something that I actually did a lot back in the day. But so it could be that, but regardless, it's in incredible condition and the price is reasonable. So even if it was used and was opened, it's still great condition, pretty amazing condition, actually.
Yeah.
I think the black plastic on this particular style of Atari computers, which were kind of like the tweeners, in between the original Atari 8-bit stuff and then the like the ultimate evolution of them in the Tramiel era. it definitely keeps better than some other types of plastic.
For sure.
But still, if you look at this, there's no apparent wear on the keys.
No, none at
No
all.
apparent dust. And
Yeah.
so it actually does look, if nothing else, super nicely kept.
Yeah, and the beige parts don't look like there's no yellowing on them at all that I can see. So it does appear that it's never seen the sunlight. Which, yeah, again, seems like an honest listing. Yeah, and is it the case that the 600 XL is less common? I don't want to use the word rare necessarily, but is it less common as Atari models go?
I don't know that answer.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I've heard the Atari folks talk about it as being one of the more rare ones and more interesting just because of the rarity of it, because I don't think they sold a lot of them, but I could be wrong about that. I'm sure Kay is flipping their desk right now. Apologies, but we don't have any Atari experts on the show today, I guess. But anyway, yeah, if this is a pretty beautiful machine, and yeah, starting bid of $89, like that's a steal for this.
I've really kind of come around to the look of these two. I mean, like I didn't like them that much originally, but the more I see them, the more I like them. It is fairly elegant.
Yeah, I like them. I like the look of the XLs. I think the original Atari 800 is probably the most beautiful one, but yeah, I like the XLs too. Yeah, I had really only come close to one at K-Fest one year. K brought their 800 XL, and I was impressed with it. Like the keyboard was really nice. It looked really nice on the desk. So I kind of became a convert. That was the year that we had a magazine article that had a basic little graphics maze solving demo in BASIC for both Apple and Atari. So we typed in both versions and ran them side by side. And of course, the Atari one was like 3 times faster. It was embarrassing. But yeah, I became impressed with the machine that day.
I really love the XLs also. The one little nitpick, if you forced me to do a nitpick on these machines, it would be the silver function keys over on the right. When your finger is landing on them, they're a little wiggly, kind of left to right. That they tend to have a little bit of wobble. But aside from that, it's a great machine. The keyboard tends to feel really good on these.
Yeah, I like the keyboard. It felt as good to me as the Apple II keyboards do. Like much better than like the Commodore 64. I mean, I like my Commodore, but the keyboard on it is not great. It's got those.
It's squishy.
Yeah, it's squishy, and it's got those weird, very highly convex or concave rather keycaps that feel weird on my fingers. And yeah, I don't like typing on that thing at all. But plays good games.
One thing I observe about this is that you can place a bid. The first bid is $89, but you can also make an offer even before the bid is accepted. So it is, I think, it's been many years, I think, since this has been an option, but it doesn't have to be a buy it now listing for you to make an offer. You could make an offer and say, I suspect the bids won't get beyond this, but I will pay you this now if you get it to me. The reason I noticed is because there's actually a signal up here that says 1 active offer. So they're trying to get you to move quick. Yeah.
And I mean, it's possible there's a hidden reserve on it. eBay does allow that as well. There could be a reserve of $800 on it, and they just won't sell it if it doesn't exceed that. But this doesn't seem like the case here. I don't think you'd start that low if your reserve was really high. So,
yeah. Cool. Okay, let's see. I will sample some of the things that I have here. This one again, I came across while I was editing. It is the Myst board game. So I guess we've been we periodically talk about Myst and how it was made with HyperCard and so forth. And so this was a 1998 board game that so I've seen some sort of video descriptions of how it's played, but it's essentially you have 2 players each, or 2 teams, maybe, I don't know. But each side has puzzle pieces, so they're like a puzzle, like a jigsaw puzzle. And the first stage of this is doing a jigsaw puzzle. But everybody there's 2 copies of each piece, and so you want to use your color piece in that space, so that you can sort of take over parts of the map. So it's a weird cooperative / competitive jigsaw puzzle game. And then, and I'm not quite sure what the further rules are, but you do use the pieces to like sort of then mark your territory after that. So anyway, it seemed like a weird thing to take, to make a board game of a already sort of puzzle game.
That is a weird thing. We've talked a lot about in the past too about the weird world of board games derived from video games. Like that's a whole genre. There was the Pac-Man board game and the Lode Runner board game and the Defender board game, and yeah, they're always very strange, but interesting for their strangeness.
Anyway, yeah, I thought it was amusing. If you want it, you can buy it for $8. This is not the only one that's out there. It's not super hard to get, and you can sort of see some of the gameplay on YouTube videos of other people who found this amusing. But so,
I imagine that Karen Puzzles has a video on it. She's done all of these weird kind of puzzles. For anyone who doesn't know, she's kind of the big jigsaw puzzle YouTube person.
And today I learned there was a big jigsaw puzzle YouTube person.
Yeah, jigsaw puzzle YouTube is a thing. Like it's quite a big genre actually, and she's kind of the elephant in the room in that genre. But yeah, there's a whole lot of videos of watching people do jigsaw puzzles.
I hope at one-time speed.
Oh yes, well, I mean edited, but yeah, there's a lot of one-time speed sections of it. Honestly, it's very soothing. Honestly, it's kind of slow TV. Like I have watched a lot of her videos because it's very satisfying. I don't know why watching someone else do a jigsaw puzzle. It sounds ridiculous, but it's strangely relaxing and satisfying.
Excellent. Okay, what else do I want to say? All right. I thought this was interesting. This is a oh, okay. It has gone up, but it says Radio Shack Tandy 16B vintage and rare. It is a TRS-80. It's so I actually didn't really know what a 16B was. I don't know, I'm not sure if this is well known to all, but
I've never heard of this.
yeah, it's sort of a successor to the Model 2. So the TRS-80 Model 2 was like the business machine that had 8-inch drives next to the monitor. It has sort of the same kind of shape as the Model 3 and 4, I guess, but the keyboard is removable. It's on a leash. And so this is I guess there was the Model 2, which then became was succeeded by the Model 12 and then the Model 16, and the Model 16B is I think the last step. And that's what this is. Huh. So I think of Model 2s as being by themselves quite uncommon. I mean, like it's hard to find them.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they're not that common. This is a neat machine. I've never seen this. It's kind of nice looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really does. The auction sort of has this look of, I found this thing in the basement. I don't really know what it is,
Yeah, well, I was going to say, so I don't know if this is a warning or not, but this photo is definitely taken in a storage locker. So you can see the corrugated metal wall there on the right, and the utility lights in the back. So this is probably something that was bought in a storage locker auction.
Yeah,
and yeah, they probably don't know what it is.
And I would be hesitant. Where is it? Okay, so right now it's got bids going. It is currently at $255. I'm pretty sure it was. What did it start at? Okay, well, $250. All right, so maybe I'm just remembering that wrong, but I thought it was cheaper. But anyway, yeah. What was I saying? I don't know.
The fact that we're 6 days left and there's already 2 people bidding on it, or maybe even 3 in that list there. So it's probably going to go for a lot more. There's multiple people that want it. That's going to shoot the price up.
Yeah. It's in Wadsworth, Ohio. And that's what I was going to say is that for something like this, I would be fairly hesitant to have it shipped by, some guy who opened a storage container.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. He's going to throw it in a cardboard box and drop it in the mail, and it's going to arrive in 16 pieces. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so. and again, as someone who doesn't know what it is and doesn't care about it, this is just another listing to them. It's probably not been taken care of. Like, is that storage locker heated? Is this thing getting frozen at night? Did they try to turn it on without checking the power supply capacitors? Like, probably yes. So yeah, who knows what you're going to get by the time, because it looks like they did try to power it on because the photos show the disc light on,
Right.
but there's nothing on the screen. So that's either concerning or not, depending on whether they just didn't have a disc in the drive or whether they did and the screen doesn't work, or so there's some cautionary flags here for sure. But
yeah,
I guess if the price is right, it seems pretty rare, this thing.
Apparently there's I've been looking at the Wikipedia page that sort of talks about the Model 2 and so forth, and talks about the Model 16, and there it gives a joke told at Tandy headquarters, which is why is a Model 16 like a bowling ball? Answer, because you can get the same amount of software for each.
Oh, ouch. Oh, it burns. It's funny because it's true.
Yeah. Model 16 keyboard was not designed for Unix, so there's no, if you want to use tilde or pipe or backslash, you have to use control to get them.
Oh no. It had a 68,000 in it though, so it's probably not a slouch performance wise. For 1983, 1982, 83, a 68,000, that's pretty good. I mean, that predates the Mac by a year or two using a 68,000, so
Yeah, and Lisa was 83, right? So it's still right in there.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this era, there was a lot of hardware being made where companies, like hardware companies specifically, thought that only the hardware mattered. So you could just put out some machine like this with impressive specs and people would buy it because it had a 68,000 and it was 16 megahertz and whatever. But it took a lot of the industry a while to figure out that actually software is what people cared about. So if you didn't have that, no one was going to buy your hardware, no matter how fast it was. And yeah, so that there's a lot of computers like this that were actually pretty technically impressive that never sold more than 2.
Okay, and then I think the last thing I will bring up, is this going to be it, is Timex Sinclair 1510 command cartridge player. So I feel like I had not heard of this before. It goes with the Timex Sinclair 1500, which is so I have a separate auction for 1500. So this particular auction that I'm looking at for Timex Sinclair 1500 is in a suitcase, like a suitcase with a foam padded suitcase that has a spot for the 1500 and then for like a cassette player so that you can load software, and has also a little like foam slot for cassettes and so forth.
Like if James Bond had a Timex Sinclair 1500, this is how he would carry it around.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've seen things like this that were sort of computer literacy kits or something like that. But this particular one is being sold for almost over $600, so I wouldn't recommend that. Oh, look at that! It's 15% off. But
what a deal!
Yeah, but yeah. So normally though, it's the Timex Sinclair 1500 is it's sort of between. I guess it's kind of like between the Spectrum and the ZX81. So let's see. The 1510 command cartridge player, which is the thing that caught my attention, is an add-on for the 1500 that lets you use basically ROM cartridges instead of cassettes. So you sort of plug it into the port in the back, and it's got a little space where you can insert a command cartridge, is what they call those. So I guess the idea is to reduce the pain of using a cassette. You can use a ROM card, but of course you have to have a ROM card to put in.
Yeah.
Do any come with this auction?
I don't think so. No, I think this is just the player, cartridge player.
I wonder if any were made. Like, I've certainly never heard of Timex Sinclair 1500 cartridges.
Well, funny you should mention that.
Here we go.
Yeah, so there's in the what is this, the winter, I had it out here a second ago, but it's the winter 1983 catalog of Timex Sinclair computer software. They do actually mention the Timex Sinclair 1000 and Timex Sinclair 1500 command cartridges. So there's a picture of them, and I haven't fully looked through this, but the report is that there are 4 in here. So
okay.
In amongst the things that you can get, I think, let's see,
So that's probably the only 4 that were ever made, I'm guessing.
Yes, that's the second part of that. So you can get Supermath. Supermath comes in the TS1000 and TS1500 cartridge, and then Flight Simulator, and 2 others somewhere in here that I didn't find. And they never made any more. There were only those 4. So,
so I guess why is the command cartridge player like a bowling ball?
Yeah, exactly.
Call back.
So it's I mean, I think it's probably not very useful. It's probably pretty rare because I mean,
I bet it
who's
is.
going to buy this?
Yeah. If you're a TI collector, and this thing's $10, like that's a steal for.
Or even a Timex Sinclair collector.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. TI on my brain after that last news item, but if you're a Timex Sinclair collector, then this is quite an artifact to own, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm. It also partly caught my attention because it was starting at like a $10 bid. It has 1 bid, so who knows where it'll go from there. But
there's one Timex Sinclair collector who's excited to finally get this thing.
Right.
I'm going to snipe it for $10.01.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, I will leave that there. I found other things that I will talk about next time. But all right. So I guess maybe we can move from that to closing thoughts. Earl, do you have any closing notes?
Only one, that I donated my PDP-11, and where I donated to is something that I want to give a little bit more detail on that, so I may save that for a future show. But I just want to say that getting it out of the basement was about as much fun as it was to get it into the basement, which is to say fun. In this particular case, we had a nice dolly that, we were able to get the main chassis, like the rack mount chassis thing, up the stairs, and it was still, it was brutal. Getting it out and getting it into the van and everything like that. But the house is undamaged. The PDP is undamaged. It's happy in its nice home. And my house now, I fear that it may blow away in the next windstorm because there's nothing holding it down anymore.
Right.
Much less gravity.
Do you know how much it weighs?
Well, so it had 2 of the 14-inch platter 10 megabyte disk drives in it. Each one of those weighs 75 pounds in and of itself.
Wow.
The main CPU unit is less than that. I would probably put it at around 30 pounds. But the rack mount chassis itself, and if you've done much work with IT, you may have, wrestled around with a rack mount chassis at some point in your career. I don't know what they made this out of, but whatever is the gravity opposite of titanium is what this thing is. So heavy. I would probably say the chassis might be 300 pounds in and of itself. It is just,
Does it have is there a power supply in the bottom of it? That might be why.
No, each of the individual units have their own power supply. There is something called a power distribution unit, which is also heavy. Everything's heavy. It's just very heavy.
Okay. Yeah, because a lot of times the gravity in those things comes from the linear power supplies. Like there's like probably a transformer in there the size of a soccer ball, and that's going to be 150 pounds on its own. But that's interesting though. Wow.
But it's off to a new home. It's going to live a happy new life, and I'm going to miss it. But at some point you got to say, I got too much stuff.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
And too much big stuff. Like there's that famous quote by Wozniak, and I don't even know if he really said it. It's one of those things that may be apocryphal, but the quote is, I don't trust any computer that I can't throw out the window. Right. And as I get older, that subset of computers is shrinking. So I don't know where that will end, but pretty soon, it's going to be a pretty small collection of things that I can still throw out the window.
Right.
Yeah.
The PDP is not in that category.
Yeah, I've been doing the math on that too lately. It's like there's a few retro computers. I mean, I really want an Amiga 500 and a couple other things, but it's like every time I think about getting one, I'm like, I don't play with the stuff I have enough. So does it really make sense to buy another thing that I'm never going to use? So yeah, it's always the dilemma, I guess.
Well, I suppose you could start using the new thing and stop using one of the old ones.
I could, yeah. You just rotate them through, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel guilty that I haven't used the stuff I have enough.
Yeah.
My Commodore makes sad eyes at me every time I walk past it in the retro room there. So I need to get back to it.
Pretty common. We were just talking about that in the last Commodore meeting, the local meetup that I went to. It was like, how many things do we have that are just sitting there? One of the members, the person who runs it actually, had mentioned that he went through a pretty significant downsizing successfully, and he's very happy with where he's sitting now. Just got, a few systems, and he plays with them frequently. And so he has found balance.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the challenge too is that emulators have kind of made me lazy. I don't know if you guys find this too, but it's like I could go down there and play with the Commodore 64, or I could just fire up Vice, which is right here on my nice, fast, modern machine, and everything's going to load instantly. And I don't have to sit in the uncomfortable chair downstairs and wait for floppy drives and everything, squint at this sort of terrible 80s monitor. And so it's sort of hard to justify using the real hardware sometimes when the emulators are so cushy and nice.
Well, and that's how I guess I kind of, I felt better about the PDP-11 because there are really good emulators for it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's not a color graphics and sound sort of machine. It's just character based. So I comforted myself with the fact that if I still wanted to play with one, I could do it virtually and wouldn't worry about, like, actually, one of the things that triggered all this was that I had a spare PDP-11 like rack mount chassis, just like a little, I don't know, 3U unit that had the card cage and that. And I had powered that up to test it, and the power supply went bang. And it's not something that had been sitting for 20 years in a basement. It had been turned on fairly recently in the bigger scheme of things. So I didn't think the capacitors would be completely deformed or whatever, but it was not happy. And I thought, every time I put power into any of this stuff, it's kind of a dice roll.
It's true.
Will it work, or will it go boom and let out the magic smoke? So I was like, I would like this in the hands of somebody who would not just be able to repair it when it goes bad, but will actually actively kind of keep it operational.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, right? It went to a good home, so I mean that's win-win, right? It's if you weren't using it, there would be some guilt if it was going to a scrapyard. But I mean, if it went to someone who's going to love it as much as you did, then that's great. Like that's the best we can hope for.
Yeah, I definitely have thoughts in that direction. And also, like, I have been talking about this, my saga of moving to a new office with all my stuff, but I'm also in a position where if in my office I turn in something and the power supply, lets out smoke, then like my entire, the entire office is going to smell that. It's not going to be great. Like before in my old place, it was sort of behind more serious doors, and I had, so.
Not Arifa, not again.
Yes.
Well, and with the unusual stuff, you can usually find a new home for it, like a PDP-11. I think I have more of a personal struggle with like my Apple II Plus. Like those things are not rare. Nobody wants them. I'm not going to be able to probably find a home for it, but it was my personal one. And so I'm extremely personally attached to it, but also I never use it because I have a 2GS and a 2C Plus, both of which are much more flexible and pleasant to use than the OG 2 Plus. So it just sits there, and that's okay too. Like it can just sit there, and I like looking at it, but at some point I'm going to have to get rid of it, and it's going to have to go to e-waste because nobody's going to want it. And that's going to make me sad because I'm so attached to it. So maybe that just sits there until I die, and it's my nephew's problem. I don't know.
Well, from the undisclosed mountain, you may have a little challenge, but I think the 2 Plus is a little bit on the more rare and desirable side. So
maybe
you might not have as much trouble making that,
Yeah.
giving it a happy home than you think.
That could be, yeah. It's not like, I haven't tried either, so I just assume nobody's going to want it because it's, they made millions of them. You can go on eBay and buy one right now for $100, I'm sure. But
I don't know about a 2+ though.
Yeah.
You might check
The
that
2E,
out.
the 2E, I think you probably the 2E is
Yeah, I
definitely in that
suppose.
category.
Yeah, I suppose
Yeah.
maybe I'm
Unless it's-
thinking more about the 2E. Yeah.
Yeah, like the very early ones and the very latest ones are probably maybe a little bit more sought after, but the ones in the middle there
Yeah.
are a gazillion of them,
Yeah.
and they're all some weird colors.
Yeah.
But-
Well, and if someone wants to just run Apple II software, the 2+ is not a great choice either because it only runs a narrow subset of software. Everything only runs stuff written like before 1983 or whatever. So it's not a very useful machine if you want a retro experience. It's a nice machine to look at. But if you actually want to run software, you're going to buy a 2E. A 2E enhanced is what you're going to want. So,
yeah.
Yeah. And it does have an Apple III monitor on it, actually, because that was common at the time to buy the Monitor 3 with your Apple II Plus, because it's actually quite a nice fit on top of the machine. So it's got the Monitor 3 green screen, which was a nice display at the time.
And the brown color scheme, which doesn't go with it at all.
Yeah, it's the same color, actually. It matches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But and it hasn't. I will say it hasn't yellowed noticeably because it's Apple's earlier darker color scheme, so it's not all yellowed the way that the 2Cs and stuff do, and the Platinum 2Es and stuff that are all lemons now.
Well, I think the 2 Plus was always painted.
Was it? Yeah,
So,
I was going to ask about that. Yeah, I don't know. That might be why. Yeah, okay. I haven't actually checked. I suppose you could probably tell if you look at it. If it probably the plastic will feel different if it's been painted, but I haven't actually checked.
Yeah, and I think there was like a early set of 2Es that were painted, and then after that they all became just plastic and all became yellow.
There you
Were
go.
the 3s painted?
No, yes, no. I don't know. I certainly have some pretty yellow ones, so I guess no.
Oh.
So the Monitor 3 might not be painted then, but it does seem to be a good color match. Mine has never seen sunlight, so it's spent its entire life in dark dens and basements. So that might be why it's not yellowed. But I haven't checked if it's painted or not.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I don't have not much I wanted to say about my closing notes. I'm mostly just trying to find time to edit. As we record, I'm putting another one on the feed from like a couple episodes ago, and who knows, maybe at some point I'll catch up. One thing that happened fairly recently is that we were featured in Compute's Gazette, this reboot
That's
of the Compute magazine. So we are in issue number 5 in Brian Cox's podcast corner. So that was sort of nice. So if you're here from that mention, welcome. But and I guess that's basically it. So okay. All right. Well, it seems abrupt, but I will nevertheless say I guess we're done. So
Well, Quinn, did you have anything?
Not really.
Did I?
We talked about. Yeah.
I for some reason I thought I was third and you were already going, but yeah.
I think
okay. Yes.
I think you're usually second last. I think because I'm always last. But
right.
Yeah, no.
Alphabetically, yes. So.
Yeah, no. Mostly just feeling guilty every time I walk by my computers. As I said, I did do a little bit of work on my retro room, getting it straightened up. I think one of the secrets to using your hardware more is to have them in a pleasant environment. So, I tend not to use. I'm not going to use it if it's in a cold basement with an uncomfortable chair. But if it's in a pleasant room that I want to spend time in, then I'm going to go down there and do it. So I've been trying to make that room as nice as I can for that reason. So. So I'll be doing a little bit of work on that. It's, we're coming up on winter here, so I'm looking for more indoor things to do. So I think the retro computers will get a little more love here soon. That's what I'm telling myself. But otherwise, that's it.
Cool. Excellent. Yeah. I'm just sort of like, sorry about that.
We're a little rusty. We haven't recorded in like a month and a half or something.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're done.
Well, I do want to point out that, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly that T. Boise just said in the comments that
Oh yeah.
I'm here from Retrobits 137, which I just listened to, and it announced the new Retrocomputing Roundtable. I think that's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
So how long ago would that have been? Like 10 years? 12 years?
Let's see.
Long time, right?
Would have been
The Commodore
I think-
64 Part 3, December 9th, 2010.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Mhm.
15 years. Wow. Yeah, we need to do a retro podcast about this podcast because we used to say that was officially retro. I think the cutoff was 15 years.
Yeah.
Of course, that was like in 2005 or something when we said that. But yeah, well, that's great.
I think we did decide that ultimately, retro is basically just more or less when we were being introduced to computers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When we were young.
Yeah, exactly. The only time that mattered is when
it doesn't
we thought
actually
this
slide
stuff was
along.
cool. Yeah, no, because otherwise we'd be talking about iPhones by now. I couldn't care less about the first iPhone.
Cool. All right. Now.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Okay. That's it for the show. You can find the show notes for this and all the RCR shows at rcrpodcast.com. You, at some point, will be able to find lo-fi episodes and more via Gopher actually Gopher works, but the lo-fi episodes don't. So, because I've taken them offline because, as detailed on prior episodes, a robot had come and was eating our bandwidth. You can discuss the show in the forums at forum.vcfed.org somewhere. You can follow RCR on Mastodon. We are at RCR Podcast at podcasts.social. You can follow RCR on Blue Sky at rcrpodcast.com. You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/RCR Podcast. And you can send feedback to feedback@rcrpodcast.com. And I guess please write a review on iTunes if you want. And until next time,
Retro
compute.
Yes.
Perfect synchronization.
Yeah,
Every single time we say, I think last time, the one I was editing, we were discussing how, maybe we should just do a countdown and edit the countdown out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm just going for it now because I'm tired of waiting because we've started just waiting longer and longer for someone else to start. And so now I just go for it.
We've got this look of anticipation on our face. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining us in the
thanks YouTube.
Thanks YouTube.
Record. See you later.